The Koalition.
Now we need to get into this main topic with Nintendo's Labo device. The new, I guess you could say, the new successful product line that Nintendo has introduced that we saw a trailer for this past week. Now, I know that Nintendo, they always say in business, it's a good idea to think outside of the box, but in Nintendo's case, they were thinking directly about the box because a lot of people look at this and they're like, look at it, it's just cardboard. That's all it is. So obviously, we need to have a discussion about this, get you guys' overall thoughts about this particular device, because we do know that all we know so far is that it is coming out on April 20th, 2018. For those of you who don't know what 420 is, perhaps you don't be smoking because that's what a lot of people, identify that date with, weed, etc. But yeah, it's coming out on April 18th. April 20th, 2018. And we know that they are going to have two different devices. The price points that I recall seeing was $69 and $79 respectively. So I wanted to get you guys' initial thoughts on this device, whether or not you think it's going to be a success, and just overall, how do you think Nintendo handled presenting this new product pretty much out there? So, Dana, I know that you actually got your hands on an early review copy of Nintendo Labo earlier this week. So how about you let us know what you think about this cardboard revolution that they're starting?
Okay. Okay. First, I have to clarify that the game itself is because it's $70 for everything. The game itself is $50, and the cardboard with it is $10. Honestly, I've never been so split in my entire life. I like the concept because it does bring you back to your childhood. If you are around any small child, if you give them a box, literally a cardboard box, there's so much that they can do with it. And I like how it relates right to the child's imagination. They showed in the video how you can go fishing and how you can make it into a little car thing. And I love that concept. But at the same time, it's a cardboard box. So that is what, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, really? You couldn't think of anything else to do, but you decide to create a cardboard box. And I think it also comes with stickers, if I'm not mistaken. I'm split. I think that the concept, I think it's sweet and it's adorable and I kind of like it. But at the same time, I really think that it's silly and just lazy. So I'm literally right down the middle. I can't tell you anything. I don't even know. I will give them credit for having that much gumption to put it out there. So good for them.
That's a good explanation. I have another question I'm going to ask you guys, but before I do that, let's get Max, your opinion on this as well as Gary.
So Dana pretty much took everything I was going to say right out of my mouth, aside from the laziness. I don't think this is necessarily lazy of them. I think this is just them forcing something creative on us. I get where you're coming from with calling it lazy, but I just no one would have thought to do this in the first place. They still have to create the software around it, and they're still giving you the idea. They're still showing you how to put it together and everything. And they're showing hey, look what we can do just by combining this basic ass thing with a really cool product. So I don't know if lazy is necessarily the right word. I'd say more just honestly innovative, especially compared to the Xbox One and the PS4. My biggest gripe with the Xbox One and PS4 and this console generation in general is that, it's basically the same thing we got last gen, just bigger and prettier. Whereas Nintendo has always tried to change things up and everything, and the Wii U kind of flopped, of course, but this is the first real innovation we've seen, obviously alongside the Switch, this console generation, which is really cool. And it's cool to me that because I remember they were talking about adding VR right when the Switch came out, or maybe right before it. People asked them about VR and they said, we're looking into it and we'll try and find some sort of solution for it. If it doesn't work with the Switch, then we won't do it. And to me, based on what I've seen so far, this kind of looks like their solution to VR. And it's really cool to me that they're not just like doing another VR headset. You know, they're actually trying to do something innovative with it, which is really cool. And it's just the type of stuff I think we need to see more of. And I'm sure that if this is successful, we're going to see Sony try and come up with something replicating it that won't be as good. And maybe Microsoft. I don't know if Microsoft is in the position to be replicating other people's ideas. I think they need to get back on their own footing first before they can even consider that. But I just think it's a really, really cool idea. I think it's a bit overpriced. Like we were saying earlier, I know that I guess the cardboard is only 10 and the game is 50. So maybe that isn't quote unquote under or overpriced, but I just don't want to spend that much money on it, especially because the Switch is already like $350. I know it's $300, but like with tax and like a game and everything, it's probably going to be around $400. So, excuse me. I don't think that you're going to see a lot of adoption rates with the Switch. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of the people who are just kind of gotten through like Mario and Zelda and everything, finally picking up cardboard, or obviously people with kids. It'll be interesting. It's something that can get damaged really easily. Like they were talking about in the chat earlier, like throwing water on it will screw it up and stuff like that, which sucks. So hopefully it's like durable cardboard or something. Hopefully it's not just like super cheap cardboard, but I really like the idea. I can't say if it'll be successful or not. I think that people will buy into it. I don't think it'll be a huge crowd, but I think that people will buy into it. And I think that it'll be received well regardless.
Very good explanation. So Gary, you have any thoughts on the Nintendo's cardboard revolution, as you put it?
Yeah, so as a consumer, I have no interest in this whatsoever. And like paying that much for a box, yeah, I'm definitely not doing it whenever I get a Switch. But looking at it from the Nintendo perspective and business wise, I think it's smart. Like, because this is clearly more targeted at, you know, children and stuff. So having like, it's like a little project, you know, like building a cardboard peripheral with your child and stuff like that. And then, you know, being able to play games with it. Like, I think that's a pretty cool concept, to be honest. But yeah, I can see, you know, where all the cynicism is coming from and, you know, all the criticism and everything like that. But yeah, I don't think it's lazy. I just think it's, you know, it's something, it's smart because the profits from this are going to be like crazy. Like, you know, they're going to get crazy profits from this if it does blow up. And if it sells like hotcakes, like their profits are going to go way up this year from this. So it's smart. And we've seen, you know, as far as the VR, we've seen the Google Cardboard, and there's been a lot of other, you know, people who kind of mimicked the whole Google Cardboard and made cardboard, you know, VR things, headsets for themselves. So I see it as kind of like that, you know, it's something that's kind of been done already, but like they're just doing it in a much smarter way and introducing it to gaming directly. So yeah, I mean, it's smart, but I have no interest.
So I have to put you on the spot, Gary. Victor in the chat asks, what if the box comes with Final Fantasy? Will you then consider picking it up?
Well, you put me on the spot right there. I mean, like, yeah, probably. Day one.
All right, well, there you go. There you go. So here's a question that I wanted to ask in regards to this. Now, let's look at the fact that last year Nintendo released all these major titles. We had Legend of Zelda, we had Super Mario Odyssey, and I guess you can also count Mario Kart 8 since that also charted, even though that's support. But I want to ask this question. Do you think this Nintendo Labo is a response to the fact that they don't really have any major games that might be dropping this year? Because we haven't heard any really announcements. I mean, of course, they have a couple of things coming out. We're going to get a lot of ports. We're going to get Bayonetta 1 and 2. But outside of that, we haven't really heard any other news of any major game dropping. So do you think that they're releasing this just to basically hold over consumers or fans of the Switch until they have other bigger titles come whether it be at the end of this year or into 2019. Because from a business standpoint, that's exactly what I think this is. They need something to hold people over until they have other stuff coming out. But what are you guys' thoughts? And how about you start off, Gary?
That's a great question. And I think there's a lot of validation to that. I think they really blew their load last year. Like, they had a great first year for the Switch, and they put out Zelda and Mario the same year. So now we're looking like, okay, well, what's next then? Obviously, we know there's a Pokemon game on the horizon and a Metroid game, but we don't know when we're going to get those. And I don't think we'll get them this year, to be honest. So yeah, they probably don't have much, and that's probably why there's such a big focus on, you know, all the ports and everything right now, and all the other games that are coming to the Switch. So yeah, this is probably a cover up, and just, you know, something a bit unorthodox to get people interested in the system still, because, you know, a lot of those big blockbuster games are probably pretty far out.
Yeah, I think so. How about you, Dana? Because I know you got a lot of those big Switch titles from 2017. So do you agree with us, or do you think this is just a new tactic that Nintendo is doing, and they have plenty of major games coming this year?
Yes and no. One I want to say is on Friday, the Nintendo stock jumped more than 4% on the Tokyo Stock Exchange after they announced the Labo. So that right there, good indicator of things happening. Yes, I do believe that it could be a cover-up for them not having all games, and they need something to tie people over. But at the same time, I say no. This is not something that's aimed towards, say, the 20s and the 30-year-olds. This is more for something that people who are children. And I think that this is a great idea for children. The thing is that there have been studies and reports that gaming for small kids sitting in front of that mobile device or, you know, the TV all day is not necessarily good for them. And with this new creation, it is able to get kids active. They go outside, they can play with their cardboard box, and they're also still playing a game, and Nintendo is collecting money off of that. So I think that this was a well thought out idea to target the smaller, the smaller children, that whole demographic that they need, while also tying things over while they work on other games for the older people. So I think it goes hand in hand. I don't exactly see, 30 and over, or, 20-year-olds running around playing with a robot suit. So that's why I say that this is something that's for kids, and it gets people out there, it gets them active. They're not stuck in front of a screen all day. So I think, it goes hand in hand. It really worked according to the stock market.
Those are some very, very, very good points. Go ahead, Max.
I was just going to say, I'm with Dana on that one. I don't really think that this is targeting that sort of crowd either. I get the speculation. It doesn't seem to me like something that would be a cover up. Like, it's just not, there's not enough value there, I could argue, even because these still seem kind of gimmicky right now. Like, I'm sure they have plans for it down in the future, which will be really cool. But right now there's just not a lot to it. Excuse me. I do think that there are going to be some surprises this year, though. I don't think that Nintendo is just going to leave us hanging. I mean, like, obviously we have a bunch of cool ports coming and everything, like more than enough ports for like everyone to be happy, I'd argue. But I do think that Pokemon game is sooner along than we think it is. I would not be surprised if that Pokemon game came out this year. I don't know why. I just have a really strong feeling that will be the case. In terms of Metroid, I don't think we're seeing that this year. I'm sure they have a few other things up their sleeves. I mean, we know there's supposed to be there's a Kirby game coming out, which I guess isn't huge news, but people like Kirby. There's supposed to be a Yoshi game coming out. I know there's like rumors of that, but and I'm sure there's just a few more things they just haven't told us about. I hope that they're working on some new IPs as well, like Splatoon and ARMS, even though I don't care for ARMS much. Like, just new ideas like that, I'd hope they're still working on, of course, aside from all of the big things that we're expecting in the franchises we know and love. But we'll have to see. But I think that Nintendo has a lot that they're just waiting to reveal, because I don't think they revealed like 3 separate things, 3 separate shows in this past week, or so. So I think that if they were stretching with stuff, they wouldn't have shown all this right away. I think that they have a lot to show still.
Very good. Very, very, very good point. Yeah, I agree with that, because we already know when they had their E3 show last year, that was when I was surprised to see how much stuff they had coming for the second half of the year. So, yeah, they definitely got some surprises. I'll be curious to see if this Pokemon game comes out this year, because I will be very, very surprised if that game comes out, because we already know Metroid Prime definitely ain't coming out this year. The next Metroid, so
I'll be surprised if Pokemon comes out, and if it does, then I'm gonna have to get a Switch like right away.
Same.
Yeah, well, why don't they just port the Pokemon Go game to Switch? Why has that not been something that they have had the discussion about?
Because Pokemon Go is trash. That's why.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I thought you were a big fan of it.
No, I don't mind Pokemon Go. It's not trash, but I just don't want it on the Switch. I think that would be awful. I need a real Pokemon game on there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But we're getting the Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, there you go.
I said real Pokemon game.
Oh, whoa, ouch. No offense to Pikachu.
Oh, Pikachu is sleeping somewhere. You hurt his feelings.
Yeah, he's crying. We'll hear about that later.
You can get over it when he's the biggest Pokemon in the main game too.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens initially, but I think Nintendo Labo, it's an interesting concept. Obviously, I agree with most of you. I am not in the target audience. You will not see me going to any store on April 20th to pick this up for myself. Oh hell no, because if that happens, that's going to be a very embarrassing day for me, a very low day for me. But no, I'm not in the target audience, but I can respect the fact that they came up with this idea. I don't necessarily think that they've explained exactly, they've not really shown how durable the cardboard actually is, and they needed to do that. They're probably going to have another video or some type of presentation where they actually go over this stuff again before it drops, because I'm pretty sure that there are some people that have questions about, well, how reliable is this going to be? They don't want to spend that money on this product, and then all of a sudden their kid tears it up within 5-10 minutes of opening up the package. So they definitely have to explain a few more things, but I give them credit for coming up with another idea, and we'll see whether or not it'll be successful. Well, go ahead, Dana.
Sorry. Nintendo also announced that, the thing is that they're not giving out extra cardboard replacement, so it better be, so they better really be good.
Oh, that one now, that is a problem. I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, listen, they have to think. Kids, I'll just admit this. I don't mind admitting this. When I was a kid, a long, long time ago, I'm not going to reveal that information on this show, I tore up a lot of shit. So I know that there's going to be a lot of kids that will tear this up. So hopefully Nintendo has to think, well, how can we make this cardboard so that it's not going to be something that somebody can just easily rip apart? But then again, I don't really know how far they thought about this.
It's the thing that people don't seem to realize, that the cardboard kit is not mandatory in order to play the games.
It's not. Okay.
Oh, if you want to, you can play it, but you don't have to.
Okay.
So
I feel like that would defeat the point, though. Like, the games are probably really boring then, I would imagine.
Yeah, because
they also explain that
but
the day you can create your own stuff.
Yeah, which is the cool part. That's the awesome potential right there.
You know how great that is? Like a whole, look at, for example, like the Lego toys, and how you can come up with your own design and your own everything with that. This can actually be very popular.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get the design aspect, that's where you hook in the grown-ups.
Yeah, no,
exactly. That's why this is so innovative.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do think that, based on the presentation video, though, when they show the cardboard, there are a lot of people that are going to want to have that experience for those that actually buy it. So, I mean, yeah, we need to see how, I mean, again, they didn't really show how durable any of this stuff is. So we have to wait and see exactly what that is. Because I have to think that if you want to tell people that they can play the game, they don't need the cardboard, but you are essentially selling the experience of having the cardboard, creating this stuff, you have to know, well, what happens if somebody tries to rip this? How they have to explain that a little bit more, because we all know cardboard, that could easily get messed up real quick. So they have to explain that definitely a lot more before it drops. But then again, you know, maybe they won't, you know, I don't know, but I would think that when they thought about this idea, they had to think about a lot of factors as to why this can work, how it can work. So I believe that there is going to be some type of explanation at some point about these other features. But we'll see. We'll see. I have no idea what Reggie and company is thinking about at Nintendo. So yeah. But any other thoughts on this topic before we wrap up today's show?
Not in particular, no.
No. Okay. So I believe that does conclude today's show for the Co-op podcast. There are probably going to be some other topics that we're going to get into next week, because I believe there was some tidbits of some topics that came out. Not really anything that, you know, it's more rumor type of stuff. So it's not really anything concrete yet, I would say. So we have to wait a little bit for some more confirmations, but we'll definitely be talking about a lot more topics next week's show. And Gary, the floor is yours. Please feel free to let us know the winner for Monster Hunter World, as well as the shout outs that you would like to give.
Yep. And surprisingly, it's another Patreon supporter that won for Monster Hunter. And it's none other. And he's actually in the chat as well. So that's cool. That worked out great. Mr. Miguel, he's the winner for Monster Hunter World. So congratulations to you, and thanks for your support.
Wow, that's awesome.
And yeah, sure. Let us know what you're feeling like right now, Miguel, if you're there. But yeah, that's one of the benefits of, you know, being a Patreon supporter, is you get extra entries into, you know, the giveaway, so you're more likely to win than, you know, everyone else. But, you know, it is fair. We do make sure it's always fair.